Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to the one and only Hyper Manic Noize Podcast. Turn it up.
It's fucking metal as fuck, dude.
Hello friends, welcome to episode 6 of the Manic Metal Show, brought to you by the Faction Radio. I've got Lee Malia, guitarist for Bring Me the Horizon. They have a new record out called Ammo, easily their most divisive and eclectic album yet. The album's causing a bit of a divide among the fans. A lot of people wish they had stuck with the sempiternal sound, so we get into that. I personally love the new album. I think it's fantastic and you should really look into it. Listen to it with an open mind. It's fantastic songwriting, really eclectic, dark electronica vibes with metal and rock. Sick album. So we've got that chat with Lee. Really cool dude, and I'm really fortunate to have him on the show. Also got the interview that I did with Kin from Aussie Legends 12 Foot Ninja. They've got a shitload of stuff coming up, including Download Festival, an Australian tour with Voyager. That tour is coming up very soon. So we talk all about their quirky, weird and wonderful brand of rock and metal. It's an awesome show. One of the biggest and best bands in Australia, one of the biggest and best bands in the world. What a combo. Get involved, enjoy the Manic Metal Show. There's plenty more podcasts coming your way. I've got a podcast with Andy Dowling, bass player for Lord and host of the Andy Social Podcast and Self-Starter Podcast. I've got another show coming with Bruno Oliveira, one of my favourite comedians that I've had on the show many times, and that one's fucking hysterical. Metal, comedy, everything in between. What more do you want, you fucking Muppets? Bang your head and enjoy this chat with Lee Malia from Bring Me the Horizon and Ken from 12 Foot fucking Ninja.
Hey, this is LJ from Seven Dust, and you listen to Hyper Manic Noize, the only station that rocks.
What's going on, Lee?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good, man. Living the dream. So last time you guys came down to Australia, it didn't exactly go to plan. Ollie ended up getting really ill, and a few of the shows that were supposed to go ahead didn't end up happening. How are you guys looking forward to coming down to Australia now you've got a new record in tow? You must be pretty pumped.
Yeah, we're super excited to bring all the new songs and the new live show over there and stuff. And we had some time off since then, and everyone's rested up well, so we're not over toured and not overtired. So this time it should be fine. The
new record, it's definitely the most diverse album you've done so far. And, you know, while there's some definite mosh pit anthems in there like Wonderful Life and Mantra, what's impressed me the most is the really progressive electronica and pop influences on the tracks. And I guess a good example of that is probably Nihilist Blues, which is, you know, it's like a bastard child of Paradise Lost and Nine Inch Nails that was adopted and raised by Bring Me the Horizon.
That's it. Yeah, I guess that's what we were kind of going for. We were going for like that super intense, almost like rave 90s music, but like in his own way. I guess we were all fans of that stuff and how intense it is anyway, and how good it always sounds. Like if you're in a club and there's something like that going with like crazy sub, it sounds super heavy anyway. So we wanted to like make a heavy song, but in a different way.
Is your songwriting approach different on a song like that than a more sort of straight up rock song like Wonderful Life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's heavily synth driven. Do you know what I mean? So guitar wise on that one, I definitely approach it in a different way where I'm adding layers and stuff, and we're doing stuff like cool stuff with the guitars where they sit with the synth and through like these. I said something called a side change, so it pulses with the kick drum and stuff. So it sounds like a synth, but it's like guitars and in there as well. So we definitely tried stuff that we've not done on other CDs, and it sounds just like huge. It sounds like a wall of sound. So definitely, as a guitarist, the approach to adding guitars to it is different. But also the song as well. It's not just a typical verse, chorus, bridge song as well. It's a bit more experimental, like the breakdown straight after the chorus, which is just all drums and synth basically, nothing else. But it sounds super heavy. It's different to what we've done before.
You know, a lot of electronic music that you hear in the club is very straightforward as far as 4/4, you know, just doof, doof, doof. Whereas it's really progressive. It's almost like Tool, but electronica or something. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the drums are really like interesting on that song, especially like on when it drops and stuff. The drums that Matt's playing are really like technical and sound proper good. So I think that helps in like changing it up a bit from just being like a dance song, if you know what I mean. It's got still got the live drums in there.
Obviously, the new material is really far removed from the band's earlier material, and being a metal station, I've seen the different reactions across the board, and honestly, the only real criticisms I've heard is that it doesn't sound like the first few records. And my response to that is, well, isn't that a good thing? It's not like those albums cease to exist, and I love bands like Slayer, but personally, I don't want to hear a band release the same album over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we feel. Like, we did them CDs, and we appreciate them, and we like them, and we definitely loved them at the time, and they're still there to listen to, you know what I mean, if you want to hear that.
Yeah.
But we've got to progress and stuff, and to be fair, like, people say, oh, you sold out because you made, like, a poppier-sounding song or whatever, but to us, selling out would be making these, like, deathcore songs just because kids want us to do that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be doing what we wanted to do. We would be selling out to the kids that want to hear that. So, I mean, it had a time and a place for us, but now we've moved on from there. I mean, we're 31 to 33 years old, and we've just matured in what we listen to and what we like playing and stuff.
As strong as the older songs were, I mean, you've just matured as songwriters, and I can tell that you're clearly influenced by good songwriters rather than a specific genre. I mean, for every touch of Linkin Park or Paradise Lost that I hear, in equal measure, I can hear an artist like Gary Newman or Roxette, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I've said in another interview, I always think, like, as long as the songs are good, it doesn't matter what style what genre they are or what style they are, and I think people will see past it eventually. Like, it's definitely a shock at first when you hear the CD and it just changes up style, but then if you hear it for just, like, if you listen to it with an open mind, it doesn't matter that it's not metal or it's not rock or, you know what I mean?
Yes.
If it's a good song, it's a good song. So you just got to listen to it with an open mind.
What I find surprising is that anyone would be surprised by the new record because each album has made sense when you listen to the previous album. Sempiternal made perfect sense after There's a Hell, Believe Me, I've Seen It. That's the Spirit made perfect sense after Sempiternal. And Ammo makes perfect sense after That's the Spirit. It's such a logical progression of songwriting in my view.
Yeah, I mean, to us it makes sense. And I think people expected it, but, like, they still deep down, they think, like, oh, I just want another Sempiternal or something, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's still a shock to a lot of, like, fans and stuff that it is still changing and we're still, like, evolving and stuff. But, like you say, it's all made sense ever since we started. I mean, there's quite a leap between Count Your Blessings and Suicide Season. And I remember when we released Suicide Season, first reaction with kids were just saying, like, oh, they've gone soft or they're trying to be new metal and stuff. So we've always been doing it. So to us, it makes sense. You just got to get your head around it.
One thing I think is really good is that for any person that I see that struggles to get on board with a new direction, there's 5 people that absolutely love it. What's your reaction been from playing live and social media and all that sort of stuff?
Before we even released the CD, we said this is going to take kids like a few listens, do you know what I mean? To us, we knew it wasn't like an instant album that you make sense straight away. So we knew, like, at first people would just be like, what the fuck is this, do you know what I mean? And so we were expecting that, but we've actually, like, seen it as well in, like, the comments and stuff. There's a lot of people tweeted, like, initially just saying hate it, and then they're already commenting now saying it all makes sense now, like, after a few listens, it's an amazing album and that. So it's happening that, like, as we thought it would. And then also, we looked on, like, when we released all the songs on YouTube, each song has, like, a different person saying favourite song on the CD, but that's on every single one. It's not just, like, there's not, like, one track on there that somebody, there's not, like, a group of people saying this is my favourite song on the CD, so we was like, it's pretty cool that, like, every song on there is hitting someone, if you know what I mean. It's not just, like, there's some filler. It's definitely connecting with people in a different way to like some of the stuff we've released before.
Definitely could see that, man, because obviously I've really digested the new record before this interview, and I listened to Wonderful Life and I'm like, all right, that's my song, I love that. And then Sugar Honey Iced Tea, I heard that and I went, okay, that's my song. And then I got to You Always Kick Me When I'm Down, and every time I listen to a song I'm like, fuck, I can't work out which one I like anymore. They just keep getting better and better.
Yeah. That's cool though. That's a good. I mean, it's a good problem to have when you're listening to a CD and you can't decide which is your favourite, rather than which one you hate the most. I mean, so, like,
yeah,
hopefully that, like, translates to a lot of people, and like we get to play like a lot of the new stuff. There's not ever any tracks where we're like, oh, we might not ever play that live. Like, well, I mean, with Sugar on the Ice and Tea, we were like, are people going to like this because it's got like falsetto vocals in the chorus? We thought people would be like, oh, it starts heavy but then goes soft. But loads of people are saying that's their favourite song and stuff, and it's heavy and that. So people are hearing it different to us as well.
Anyone that's going to shit on falsettos hasn't listened to Judas Priest, and they can go fuck themselves just quietly.
yeah, true.
That's what I love about the record, though. And I found the same thing with That's the Spirit. It's, I guess the word's progressive, not so much in crazy time signatures and things like that, although there is a measure of that as well. But it's very much a journey of an album. And I've found that all the way back as far as Sempiternal, but more so with Ammo.
Yeah.
Did you have an overarching sort of concept as far as the music? Because it's just so organic, and even though it's so different, somehow it all works together.
I guess on the, on like That's the Spirit, we kind of wanted each and every song to be a single worthy, if you know what I mean. So it had to be in a certain time, like length of time. It had to have like a certain amount of choruses. It had to have like a certain sound to it. Whereas on this CD, we had like some singles that we were like, they're strong and they're definitely good enough for like radio and that. So the rest of it we could kind of relax on, and it didn't have to conform to like a single structure, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So we definitely got to like mess about a bit more, and I think that's why people say it's progressive in a different way. It's definitely not like prog music, like Dream Theater or something. I think it's the progressive thinking of like just weird shit, like why can't we have a beatboxer on this, or why can't we have like just weird sounds, I mean trumpets and stuff, and why can't it just last too long? I guess like certain songs are more for us, if you know what I mean, this time. But then you've still got your singles that like make perfect sense on the radio and that. So I think we've just got to like push ourselves a bit more then, rather than just trying to write 10 perfect singles.
But the irony is you've written 10 perfect singles.
I suppose so, yeah. But I mean, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be like that. But I suppose as long as the songs are catchy or whatever, at the end of the day, and it's a good song, it can be a single.
Yeah, that's the thing that I've found ever since Sempiternal. I listened to Sempiternal. I've never been the biggest metalcore, deathcore fan, but I listened to it and I just went, fuck, this is the best representation of sort of the metalcore genre by far. I'm not trying to tickle your balls here, but that's my honest opinion.
No, yeah, that's cool.
I don't think you could have done better in that genre. I mean, it would make no sense to make Sempiternal too.
No, I know, and we think that as well. Like, we kind of did everything we could have done in that sound, if you know what I mean, on that CD. Anything else would have been recycling. Like, if we'd have gone back to like just doing like, I think we've tried every breakdown in the book, do you know what I mean, like and stuff like that. So it almost got to the point where the point of a breakdown to us was losing its effect, because we were like, why are we even writing a breakdown? What does it even mean and stuff? Yeah. Whereas when we were writing Sempiternal, it had a big meaning in the song, if you know what I mean. But then we got to the point where we would rather have like a sick like musical section or like a really good vocal section instead of like a breakdown. And I guess people at first are like, oh, this is where the drop should be, but it's not and stuff. But it becomes a bit unmusical. You know what I mean? If you go back to a breakdown with what we're doing nowadays, we're thinking in a different musical way. It's
interesting too, because there's different kinds of heavy. I saw Black Sabbath on their final tour, and you listen to a song of theirs from 1969, that is as heavy or heavier than any fucking thing with blast beats you'll ever hear.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's definitely the case with a song like Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I mean, Wonderful Life's like down-tuned and stuff, do you know what I mean? And it's got like the heavy guitar riff and that. But to us, like, one of the heaviest things on the CD is like when Nihilist Blues drops after the first chorus. That to us is like our new representation of what a breakdown or like a beatdown sounds like. You know what I mean? It's just intense sub and like a groove going on. So I guess it's how you're hearing what is heavy, you know what I mean? And if it's heavy with emotion, it's heavy, but it's in a different way to just, like you said, to blast beats or like squealing on guitar and then chugging, you know what I mean? So it's just a different aspect of heavy.
100%, man. And look, the new album, Ammo, is absolutely amazing. I'm so stoked for you guys, and I think this is the record that you guys are already a stadium act, but I think you're going to struggle to find a stadium big enough to fit you in after this one. This is awesome.
That'd be crazy, but yeah, thank you, man.
went silent for a moment in the light of the act. If I clear my mind, I am rising beyond all space and time. Nothing that I have to do to be who I am, yeah. Now I release to the sky. All I have to transmute this illusion. I lost my grip, but I have you now. How can this be? I have become my enemy. I lost my grip, but I have you now. How can this be? What become my enemy? I repaired the shattered diamond to its wholeness with these blood-stained hands. Just as I've designed, I am rising beyond all space and time. Nothing that I have to do to be who I am, yeah. Now I'm released to the sky. All I have to transmute this illusion. I lost my grip, but I have you now. How can this be? I have become my enemy. I lost my grip, but I have you now. How can this be? What become my enemy? Will you see the black of the eyes separated from the white? If the enemy is smothered the eye, I must rebound tonight. Now I release to the mother sky. All I have to transmute this illusion. I lost my grip, but I have you now. How can this be? I have become my enemy. I lost my grip, but I have you now. How can this be? What become my enemy?
You're listening to Matter of Faction on the Faction Radio, and today's guest is no stranger to your heavy metal ears. I've got Ken on the line from 12 Foot Ninja, and we've got plenty to talk about with their upcoming festival appearance at Download and their tour with Voyager. How you going, Ken?
I am very well, dangerously well. Hayden, how are you?
Good, man. Dangerously well. I like that. You guys, you've got a ton of huge shows coming up. The national tour with Voyager kicking off in March, which also includes an appearance at the Insane Download Festival in Melbourne. How are you guys looking forward to that?
Yes, we are super pumped for that. We've been wanting to play Download for a while, especially the UK version. That it came to Australia was really, really good news, especially for bands like ours. And so that we even, we're given the opportunity to play it is just awesome. It's a gift that'll keep on giving.
the musical equivalent of herpes. I like it.
I think so.
Well, who are you looking forward to checking out the most on that lineup?
I definitely want to check out Behemoth again. I'm a massive fan, and I want to see how they've stepped up production and everything. I'm in love with their sound, their message, the whole thing. So I'm really hoping to check them out. Who else? I mean, it's interesting because we've done quite a few festivals in the States, and a lot of the bands doing this particular tour, we've managed to see. So we've been quite spoiled. So I think what I was going to do was just like assign, a particular number to a band on a dice or something, and just roll the dice and just see where the chips fall. Just go and see whichever band the dice dictates. But I really want to catch Polaris.
Yep.
Really want to catch Polaris. Their album was phenomenal. We were lucky enough to play with them a few years ago in Sydney, and I'd love to check back in and just see how things have progressed for them. I've heard nothing but good things from their fans, so I really want to check them out. Die Art is Murder, of course. Yeah, I'd love to see them again. I think the last time I saw them was at a pushover festival a couple of years back as well. I don't know. It's going to be really a very indulgent day for me. I'll get to wander around and listen to awesome music and check out great bands. And, I'm more from the point of view of just seeing how far those bands have come since I've seen them last time. And yeah, I mean, everyone on that bill is fantastic. I'm not the biggest Sum 41 fan, but I might end up checking them out as well. Who knows?
Well, I'm actually hoping to see an article the day after the festival saying that 12 Foot Ninja are responsible for Ozzy Osbourne falling off the wagon again. That'd be awesome. I
don't know if I'd want to be guilty of that. As far as Sharon's concerned, I don't know if I'd want to cross Sharon. She's a bit of a beast. Yeah. I'd want to stay on a good side. But, man, if the opportunity presented itself that I could even just shake hands with the man or just touch his garments,
yes,
and be healed by his essence, that would be awesome. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to see him, and I hope we get to just see him backstage somewhere and just eye him off and kind of give him the thumbs up. That would be great.
Well, the fact that he's alive is more impressive to me than Jesus bringing people back from the dead, to be honest with you.
I completely agree with that. He is a man miracle, if ever there was one.
Yes.
And, Jesus would want, if he came back, he would want to be like Ozzy, because it seems that nothing can defeat him, and he is immortal. He's been blessed with these incredible genes that allow him to absolutely pulverize himself with all sorts of substances and still survive. I should actually start a betting ring on whether or not Ozzy or Keith Richards is going to survive the longest. But my suspicion is they'll probably both survive a nuclear holocaust, should there be one.
Yeah, I think they'll outlive anyone in the betting pool.
I think so too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've also got the tour with Voyager, which is great. I'm a Perth guy, and seeing them do so well is just awesome. But what I like about that, Bill, is that you're both bands that don't really fit into any particular genre. So it's a rare opportunity to have such off-the-wall bands tour together, and I like it.
Yeah, it should be really, really good. I love Voyager. And we've crossed paths a few times, and I've been fortunate enough to meet them. But, yeah, this will be the first time we actually get to play together, which will be great. And because I'm a fan of theirs, I'll be out there every night watching them. And just soaking it in while I can. To me, it's the ultimate lineup. They do a crazy show. I caught them last year, or was it the start of this year, at Progfest in Melbourne, and they were just unbelievable. They really were. The energy they bring to the stage is admirable. So, yeah, I can't wait to indulge in their wares as well. And just getting to hang out with them and shoot the shit, that'll be great.
What's great also is that you guys are visiting the three cities that miss out the most, which is Perth, Adelaide and Canberra. So I'm sure a bunch of people are stoked for that as well.
Yes, they are, which is cool. I mean, Adelaide, poor Adelaide, man. They seem to miss out on a lot. And when we announced that we were doing Download Festival, because we hadn't announced the Upload Tour, and we were getting messages from people in Adelaide just going, oh, God, yeah, no Adelaide, typical. And to which, I mean, we couldn't reply to them and say, just hold your horses, there's good news coming, because it would be, sort of a premature announcement. Thankfully, we get to go over and hang out with the Adelaideans again. They're always good with us. We always have a good time there. And I don't know, they're so passionate, especially the guys, from the Barossa Valley. who were probably our earliest adopters over there. Shout out to Barossa Valley crew. Yeah, so it'd be good just to catch up with them again, have a beer, and, you know, we're so familiar with so many Radladians, so that's going to be fun. Canberra's a weird one because I've been receiving messages from people saying, why did you announce Canberra? Because I'll be in Sydney that night getting ready for download in Sydney. So a lot of Canberrians are kind of, you know, a little bit caught. They're kind of thinking, well, we've planned to be in Sydney the night before, but maybe we should stay in Canberra, see their gig there, and then, you know, try and make the trek across to download the next day. So hopefully we've got a good room there. But yeah, it's the same there. The crowd there are great too, and really, really lovely and accommodating people. So I'm glad that we actually get to do these side shows. It'll be awesome.
What I've always found interesting about 12 Foot Ninja is you guys are such a ridiculous, diverse meshing of influences. And if I had to write it down on paper, I'd be like, this doesn't even fucking make sense. But when you hear it, you're like, holy shit, this is really cohesive. What's the typical process when you guys are putting together music? I mean, is it hard to sort of have so many influences going on and still come out of it with really well-written songs? It seems quite challenging.
I think the hardest part is making the transitions between each style kind of seamless, so that when it comes in, it might be a little bit jarring, but at the same time, you kind of want each, different genre to kind of integrate together. So I think that's kind of the biggest challenge, is getting into that, the glue, as I'd call it, and making sure that it's cohesive enough so that people, even though people will be caught by surprise, on second glance or second listen, they'll go, yeah, that makes sense, that's awesome. That's a challenge. I'd like to say that we have some sort of system for genres, so that we put genre titles in a hat and we just pick a title out and go, all right, let's do country. But it's not really like that. It's a bit more experimental. Usually we start with the heavy stuff, and then we feel it out. What would go well there, and we'll try out different feels, and then eventually we'll land on something that will just work, and that we think will kind of make the song the best it can be. So there is no strict process. It's more just kind of, it's a process of discovery for us. What can we do that's different, but at the same time still be cohesive enough to, communicate the message of the song?
Yeah, awesome, man. Well said. And it's been just over 2 years since the release of your last record, Outlier, which, perfect name to sum up 12 Foot Ninja. How far away are we from hearing some new music from the band?
Well, I could say we're fairly close, and then we do a tour, and it's like 8 years away.
Yeah.
But all I can say is soon we are working on the next album. We are working on material. I can't give you a date, of course, because, the band will probably kill me, and it's not my place to announce. In fact, we don't even know when, but it will be soon.
Cool. You heard it here first. The album's coming out on Monday.
Man, I wish. That would be the best.
It's featuring a lot of cool artists. XXX Tentacion's on there. We've got a lot of dead people on there. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. The holographic Tupac, the holographic Ronnie James Dio. Everyone's getting involved. We're hashtag blessed.
How do you feel about the holographic thing? Because that does my head in.
It's unusual, but there's something about it that I kind of go, that makes sense. It allows, more spins of the catalogue, which hopefully assists their families, they're still seeing royalties from that catalogue. It's an interesting conundrum because a lot of people, because it's not the real thing, it's not the genuine article standing there in front of you sweating it out, and, in fact, it's just thin air. It's just light projections and, pre-recorded backing tracks. However, it kind of allows an artist's legacy to kind of live on beyond them. And I think, it's a little bit of an 80s thing. It's sort of something you'd see in like some crappy sci-fi movie, from the 80s projecting into the future. What will the future be like? We'll be watching holographic concerts. I think that's why I like it. It's a little bit hokey, like it's a bit corny. And it's like, wow, we're in the future now. Yeah. There's an aspect of me that kind of, I think it's kind of endearing that actually exists. I would wish that hoverboards existed more than holographic concerts, but you can't have everything, so I'll settle for holographic concerts.
Fantastic. Well, the holograph tour with Voyager is coming up in March. They're not actually going to be there. Just kidding, in case anyone doesn't understand sarcasm.
We're just going to dial it in. We're just going to, Voyager and I, we're going to do a Skype tour. Basically, we'll Skype it in. It'll be awesome. We will be there in person. We will be sweating. There will be lights, but they won't be holographic in nature. And we'll be, I'm sure both bands will be giving it everything they've got.
Awesome, man. Well, the tour kicks off on March 2nd in Perth, March 8th in Canberra, the 9th in Sydney, the massive Download Festival on March 11th. Then you've got the Gold Coast on March 15th, March 16th in Brisbane, and the 23rd of March in Adelaide. Is there anything you'd like to say to the rest of the Aussie fans before you head off, man?
Yeah, say no to rugs, because on a polished hardwood floor, you could slip and twist your ankle quite badly.
That's very important information, and I think we can all relate to that. And say yes to drugs, I think. But no to rugs, yes, that's very important.
Indeed.
Thanks so much, Ken. I really appreciate it, dude.
You're so welcome.
Suck shit!
Heavy metal rules.